Begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Welcome to the second fragment of Silicon Review for the week. Um, Up this time around is Bridge Constructor Portal.
Which you may recognize as a combination of two things that are already types of games.
Indeed. In fact, we have actually reviewed a Bridge Constructor game on the show a couple years ago. I'm trying to remember which, I think it was technically one of the DLCs that got released, but it came with the base, the original Bridge Constructor game as well.
Yeah.
It should be noted that Bridge Constructor Portal is its complete standalone game. You don't need to own any other Bridge Constructor thing to play this one.
Mm.
And indeed, Bridge Constructor is a quite a long-running series, if I'm remembering correctly. But and for I'm trying to think of the reason why Bridge Constructor teamed up with Portal of all things.
Other than money.
Well, no, it's like, but
it is ultimately a pretty good combination because Bridge Constructor games are normally just about, building bridges out of whatever so you can make a bridge over such and such a bizarre situation, usually within a certain budget. And, putting that in the context of you're doing it for Aperture Science makes it make a whole lot more sense why you're doing certain things so stupidly and why some of the situations are set up the way they are.
Mm-hmm. Because this is actually the first bit of Portal stuff we've seen since Portal 2.
Portal 3 confirmed. Wait, what?
By the way, and this game's announcement pretty predictably set the internet ablaze with anger.
Because it's not Half-Life 3 or Portal 3.
Yeah, it's Bridge Constructor combined with Portal. Nobody was asking for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's not a slight against the game itself or anything. It's just, apart from, I guess, the people who made this happen, nobody was asking for Bridge Constructor Portal. But as my colleague mentioned here, the end result is actually a lot better than you might think it would be. Because the Portal aesthetic isn't just for graphics or anything. No, it actually impacts the gameplay.
Yeah, you're hired to do Aperture Science testing with bridges and stuff inside their facility, and you have to build bridges. And there are portals, and there are sentry turrets, and there are pits of instant death goo, and there are companion cubes.
Mm-hmm. And there are the gels.
Yes, and there are, later in the game, there's repulsor gels and accelerator gel.
Mm-hmm. So all the Portal stuff that was in the proper games is here, and it's integrated into the bridge construction. And that actually allows this game to display a level of creativity that it's never displayed before. Because having reviewed a couple of these in the past, the Bridge Constructor series is a fairly mundane affair.
Yeah, in the normal Bridge Constructor games, if you somehow end up with your truck going from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen, you're usually doing something wrong. Whereas in this, that's like a required part of completing the fourth stage.
Yeah, it's like this game can actually allow for fantasy to a certain point to take hold. It's like you can build much more impossible structures in this game than you could in the proper Bridge Constructor. Also, money isn't really a consideration either.
Because
at least as far in the game as we got to, they tell you how much money you wastefully spent each stage.
I just don't see
there
that
haven't
ever.
actually been any limitations on what money available. There might be some later on, but
Mhm. Now that's probably going to disappoint some people from the bridge constructor set because that's actually a part of the strategy in the game. You have to build these things within certain financial constraints, and you just don't have that here. Also worth noting is materials have been drastically reduced. See, once again, back in the other bridge constructor games, the type of material, do you build a bridge out of wood or bricks, or do you
Yeah.
use cement?
yeah, here you have two types of material. You have three technically. You have girders and rods that you like build framework out of. You have road, which is the same as girder or rods, but you click it to make it a road so that trucks go over it instead of through it. And then you have cables, which are made out of stretched out shower curtains because aperture science.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, that being said, the same, you do have to take things like pressure and gravity into account. Like,
Mhm.
you can't just build a straight bridge across and hope for it to be steady.
Yeah, you
do
still
have
need to figure out how to do like triangles to support stuff or have cables to support things if you can't do triangles or whatever.
Yeah. And physics also matters more than just in terms of gravity. You have to take angles into account because remember the gel thing I mentioned beforehand? You've got to make jumps in this game that you never really could make in the previous games.
Yeah,
So
it's bridge with enormous quotation marks around it because as often as not, there will be less of a bridge going all the way across and more of a, okay, well, we'll need to get across this gap, but we need to leave a spot here so you can fall through
yes.
after going through a portal. And also there needs to be a ramp on the end because there are no attachment points over that enormous pit of acid that you need to get your trucks over.
I've encountered that level, actually. Yeah, yeah, they really like to mess around with the formula here. Like I said, I'll be honest. I think this is by far the best bridge constructor game I've ever played. Now, and I'm glad that the portal stuff isn't just a fancy dressing.
And it does
really
involve, I'm pretty sure it's Ellen McLean appearing as GLaDOS as
yeah,
your supervisor.
yes, it is GLaDOS speaking to you. Original voice actress and all. I think the writing was done by Valve as well. Like, don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
Let me.
We haven't actually interviewed anybody about this one,
Yeah,
so
if it's not by them, it's by someone who got the hang of how to write.
Right. I'm like, basically what we're saying is, it really does look like Valve was involved with this. How much I couldn't say, given that Valve usually has a hands-off approach to these things anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But also worth noting is the presentation in general is vastly, vastly improved from other bridge constructor games I've played. Because, well, here's the thing: this doesn't look like a cheap fucking mobile port, unlike the last one I played.
Yeah,
which
the
was
graphics are fairly simple. I mean, all of the humans in the game are represented as like 2D humanoid shapes.
yeah, like they have in the instruction thing or the
Yeah.
signs in the regular Portal games.
But it makes sense because it's a Portal thing, and the graphics are pretty decent for depicting the aperture science style of sort of bare, weird industrial stuff.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, like, it doesn't have things like huge UI graphics that was clearly made for a mobile game.
Yeah,
even though this
buttons are
game
all
has
pretty
been
small.
released on mobile, I will note. That being said, even though this is the best of these games that I've played, I still had the same problem I always do with this series. That is, after a certain amount of time and after a certain point in the levels, I just find myself getting bored with the whole affair.
Yeah, Bridge Constructor in general doesn't hold my attention for very long. But this held my attention for a little while, which is better than not at all.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, and like especially if you really wanted, more like if this is actually written by Valve, then that would be an incentive to try and stay longer.
Hmm. Let's see. The music. Well, the music I think is actually original compositions done in like kind of the style of Portal versus like actual music from Portal.
Did anyone get all the way to the end of the game?
I don't think so. Like,
If
Not
so,
really.
I'm curious as to whether there's an ending song.
that is a good question.
We can look it
Like,
up on YouTube later. Someone's
Mhm.
probably beaten this by now.
yeah, it's worth noting that okay, the actual release of Bridge Constructed Portal was kind of split. It was released very late, like maybe a week before Christmas, something like that. Very late 2017, for various computer platforms and mobile platforms. Android, iOS, Linux, Mac, and Windows. There are plans to release this game on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, but those are this year. Like they're not out on consoles yet, to my knowledge.
Hello?
I'm still here.
Hello?
Oh, Adam must have dropped again. I was like, crap, did my headset die on me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Now I can.
Yeah.
That was weird. Where did I cut out?
This game was coming out this year on consoles.
Yeah, it's coming out on consoles, and that's why it's got controller support. It's why, if I wanted to, I could use my Xbox One controller with this game. But if you play this on PC,
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
This game plays best with a mouse or a touch screen versus a controller.
Actually, with as much like clicking and dragging, I'm not sure how well a touch screen would work. But a mouse, it seems to be made for a mouse.
Yeah, it's like a controller would just be a lot more cumbersome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's see. The voice acting and the writing is right out of Portal actually.
I mean, it's difficult for GLaDOS to kill you since you're not physically doing this stuff. You're sitting at a desk, and I mean, if she wanted to, she could just. I should say it's difficult to make it like a challenge where she's trying to kill you. If she wanted to kill you, all she'd have to do is open the trapdoor that's almost certainly under your chair because aperture science.
Mhm.
Or,
Like,
just turn off the air to the room or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the dark comedy stylings that you would expect from a game with the Portal name on it.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, you get to ask if there are any other jobs besides bridge construction supervisor, and
Mhm.
well, there's one for that they just happen to have an opening for a incinerator interior inspection.
And you go to the head of the line.
Yes.
Let's see. Price. So this game comes in at $9.99.
I think there are 60 stages, so yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, which is actually the same price as most of the as the other Bridge Constructor games. Like, and once again, it's an easy recommend at that. It's this. It's Bridge Constructor, but much better than usual. Is my basic review of the game. And though, if you're expecting like Portal 3 in any real regard, no.
Yeah, there's not really a story or a long progression thing. It's just Portal flavored.
Well, it's also worth noting that it's not even really connected to the actual Portal games in terms of like storyline links or anything like that. This is definitely like pre whatever happened to Aperture Science.
Yeah, this is before before GLaDOS, I believe, gassed the entire facility for whatever reason.
Yeah, like probably because it's GLaDOS. Point is, yeah, don't come here looking for the lore.
Yeah.
And I know there are people that are going to do that or have done that, and they're probably raging somewhere in some corner of the internet.
Yeah, it's not Portal 3. Sorry.
But but it is a damn good bridge constructor game. How much you will enjoy that might be kind of up to you. Neat. Anyway, anything else we want to say about this particular game?
I like how they have snaps. So I'm not trying to line this up manually. They just kind of snap it where it should be. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very easy to. I mean, you can, if you try, accidentally put things like right next to each other, but it's pretty easy to snap things together.
Right, so I think that'll about do it for Bridge Constructor Portal. Be sure to stay tuned. We'll take a bit of a break, not as long as the first one. Just, gotta set up and reset everything for our final review of the week, Escape Close Call.